Okay, so very legitimate question. Who allowed this show to be so unironically good? This this show is super good. But with that said, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to one of our weekly girlfriend discussion videos. Today we're here to talk all about episode 2, how Nagisa feels. But before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this thing. Okay, so first things first, we gotta talk about Saki versus Nagisa, since that takes up pretty much a good chunk of the episode, although not the whole thing, obviously, but a good amount. Saki spends most of the episode basically being super jealous and also low-key kind of into Nagisa, and we see that, like, again, from, like, the start of the episode all the way to the end. Like, she's very jealous of, yet insanely, I don't want to say insanely, but low-key into Nagisa, right? Like, we see this at several points. Like, we hear her inner thoughts. We see, like, the things that she is tweeting on her private account about Nagisa, and it's all positive stuff. Like, it seems very, like, clear that Saki is sort of into Nagisa just a little bit, but also obviously jealous, right? She feels like, by comparison, she's not maybe living up to Nagisa in terms of Naoya's partner, right? Like, Saki feels like Nagisa's got a bigger set of assets, shall we say. She has bigger plot than Saki does. She is cuter, she is nicer, like all these things, right? But that doesn't necessarily make Nagisa better. In fact, I like these two pretty much equally, and Naoya included. The main trio is friggin' great, and I don't know which one I like the most just yet. I kind of like all of them equally. So it makes me a little sad to see Saki feel like she's not living up to Nagisa's reputation and personality. It's like, no, you're just as good. It's a bit of a bummer, but it does lead to a ton of really funny moments, not the least of which being the insanely awkward moment during the night where everybody is, trying to sleep, and Nagisa feeling a little bit uncomfortable, I guess. Not so much uncomfortable, but a little shy about everything, asks if she can sleep a little closer to Naoya. And they're talking, and Saki gets, like, the wrong idea and thinks that they're, like, doing it, and immediately freaks out and yells at him. And we'll talk about Naoya's reaction a little bit later in the video, but Nagisa is obviously just sort of awkward about it, but Saki, like, flips the script and completely loses her mind, only to figure out that it was fine. Nothing was happening. And it's funny too, because, like, she accuses them of doing stuff, right? That, as we find out a little later on, it's Saki who wants to bang Naoya. And I find that a little funny. Now, as an ace boy, I find the amount of focus they are putting into their sexual side of their relationship to be a little bit funny. But they are, very heavily involved, and I get it, as a bunch of teenagers, like, this kind of shit would happen, I suppose, especially now that they're living together. So, like, this kind of thing would happen, right? Hormones would be off the charts at this point. So I understand. But it's just funny to me that Saki, who is the one seemingly most interested in the act, is also the one who is, like, the most shy and aggressively defensive of other people doing it with Naoya. Like, I think that's really funny. And Saki does a lot of stuff this week that's just really funny. And again, just to further hammer the whole Saki versus Nagisa thing home, we see later that Saki is very much against telling the rest of the world, because she's still kind of uncomfortable with the idea of telling everybody that they're all three of them dating, right? Like, that is still something she's not super excited to tell people, and it's very understandable, right? She got tossed into a polyamorous relationship without really giving her okay or her blessing to the situation, which is kind of messed up when you think about it. Even though Naoya is a good dude, like, and Nagisa is also great as well, they did kind of pull Saki into this. She could have said no, to be fair, but, like, it's still a little squicky. It's like, like, I still feel a little bad, so it's understandable her saying, like, don't tell anybody. and she kicks the living hell out of Naoya to keep him from telling the others. And it's just because she still feels like she's A, doesn't really want to tell other people about the situation because she's uncomfortable with it, and B, because she still feels like people are going to be like, oh, why is he dating Saki if he already has Nagisa? Like, you know that that's subconsciously where her mind's at. And at the end, at least, like, we do see that she has a great appreciation for Nagisa. Like, she feels bad that she put her in this position where they can't talk to her at school in the first place. And even agreeing to have secret meetings on the roof so that nobody knows that the three of them are dating, which is cute. But from Saki's point of view, it's still very much a competition, whereas Nagisa is a bit more oblivious to things, like, is mostly just happy that Naoya is in a relationship with her, even if she has to share Naoya with Saki. She's a little more astute than Naoya is. Like, Nagisa at least is, like, aware that Saki got the wrong idea during the night. So it's not that Nagisa's, like, unaware of how relationships work. She's actually probably more well suited to relationship dynamics than Naoya even is. But it's that she's sort of, like, oblivious in the sense that, like, she's not aware how Saki was feeling about her until she actually looks up, like, what she's saying about her on Twitter and looks up her search history on Google. Although I believe they called them, like, Quitter and Goagle or something like that. Like, they had to change the name for copyright purposes, which every time I see it is always funny. But they had to change it, and Nagisa looks up Saki's internet history, and oh my. I think Nagisa learned quite a bit more than she was expecting. And it's funny because, like, when she looks up her search history, right, when Nagisa's looking up Saki's search history and what she's saying about her on Twitter, she's doing so out of this place where she wants to make them like her more, so she wants to learn more about them. And to be fair, when they're both sleeping, probably the easiest way to do so is by checking their phone. It's pretty invasive, if I'm honest. Like, it's a little uncool of Nagisa to be checking people's phones when they're sleeping. But I understand her reasoning as to why. It wasn't, like, nefarious, right? She does admit at one point that she does kind of want to be Naoya's favorite, but she's aware that his favorite is probably Saki, right? Like, he spent more time with Saki, and she feels like if he had to pick, that he would pick Saki. And I find that funny because Saki feels like it's the other way around, that if he had to pick, he'd pick Nagisa. So they're both in this competition with each other, when meanwhile Naoya can't possibly pick between the two of them. But they both feel like if he was forced to, that they would pick the other, when in actuality I think he would just not pick at all. Because again, even though Naoya is kind of the cause of all this, I don't really feel like he's a bad dude. That's not the impression I get. But when Nagisa looks up stuff about Saki, it's when she finds out that Saki actually does think she's pretty great, and that was a sweet moment. It was immediately spoiled because Saki woke up and Naoya had to cover for her, but we'll get to that in a second. Taking a lot of punches, my boy is, right into the face too. Oof. But Nagisa also proves that she's not quite as perfect as I think we all assumed. I think a lot of us just sort of assume that Nagisa's great and super perfect and, oh, she's so great and all this stuff, but we find out that Nagisa's actually, well, like, yes, she's stronger emotionally, I feel, than Saki. Saki is a lot stronger intellectually than Nagisa is. Nagisa spent too much time not in school and instead learning how to cook and all this stuff to impress Naoya, that she actually just doesn't know a whole lot. Like, when they're, like, studying for math, I believe, she just doesn't know things, right? Like, she doesn't know factoring or, like, basic equations and stuff like that, so she has to, like, run and Google it in the bathroom. I can't believe my girl said she was backed up, by the way. I was like, no, Nagisa. Like, just admit you don't know, it would have been fine, but she doesn't want to admit that, because, again, Saki and Nagisa feel like there's this hidden competition between them, so of course she's not going to say that she doesn't know when Saki does, so she, like, just instead would rather take the embarrassing, I'm a little backed up right now, run to the bathroom and do all the math equations in the bathroom, only for her to come back out and not know how to do the equation properly, which was legit kind of funny, but also a little sad. Kind of breaks my heart a bit. But this does actually lead us pretty nicely over to Naoya. I have a lot to say about Naoya, and I think the biggest takeaway I have personally is that Naoya is actually kind of an idiot. I was kind of unaware how dumb he is. He legit is more oblivious than I assumed Nagisa was, and Nagisa was a lot smarter than I had given her credit for. Again, maybe not so much intellectually, but emotionally stronger. Whereas Naoya doesn't really know what he's doing. Like, Naoya is kind of an idiot. He's a little oblivious to certain social cues, and when Saki gets mad at him during the night when they're all sleeping on the futons and she's like, "You put it in, didn't you?" He's like, "Put it in? What do you mean?" Like, and he's genuinely confused. And look, I'm an idiot. My partner could tell you I'm an idiot, but like, I think I have the basic common sense to know what that is. Even as an ace boy, I would have understood what that meant. But Naoya is definitely not ace, by the way. I know my own kind. Like, Naoya is probably pretty straight. He might be a little bi. I guess very, very faint bi energy from Naoya, but I think he's mostly straight. And he's mostly sexual. So the fact that he didn't know that, I was like, okay, so he's just an idiot then. It's not that he's not interested, it's that, like, I don't think that. I think he is interested because he's admitted that he's interested in episode 1. It's just that, well, he's kind of stupid. And that's fine. I think it actually makes him more genuine and more sweet that he's kind of an idiot. Like, it actually makes me more endeared to the character because I actually feel like he's bumbling his way through this, not out of a sense of, like, again, if I might rag on this character, he's such a far cry from Kaz from Rent-A-Girlfriend, where Kaz is, like, kind of despicable. Like, Naoya is genuinely innocent in a lot of ways. Like, he's too kind, and it, like, backfires on him. And he's a bit too dumb, and that also backfires on him sometimes. But it all comes across to make him endearing in ways that Kaz from Rent-A-Girlfriend friggin' was not. Naoya over Kaz any day, any friggin' day. Naoya should go out with the girls from Rent-A-Girlfriend, show them what a proper boyfriend is like, even though, you know, it'd all be polyamorous. They'd have to agree to that. Again, I wonder how people in polyamorous relationships would feel about this show, because I do feel like Naoya and Nagisa kind of pulled Saki in without telling her. I would be very curious to hear what poly people think about this show so far. But again, I do think Naoya, even though what he did is a little shady, I do think ultimately he is a good dude. He just comes off as, like, genuinely sweet. He, like, maybe a touch selfish, right? But genuinely a sweet dude. Like, we see him jump in a number of times to sort of save Nagisa, right? Like, he steps in to save Nagisa from getting in trouble with Saki at one point, taking a pretty vicious blow to the face from Saki, just straight up cold cocks our boy, and lays him out to the point where he passes out on the kitchen floor. But it's because he was trying to protect her, because if Saki found out that Nagisa was snooping through her phone, that would have really changed their dynamic and maybe made Saki feel some kind of way. So now you wanted to protect Saki, or Nagisa, from Saki, so he steps in, and that's genuinely really sweet. He also panics when he realizes that Nagisa hadn't been going to school just so she could learn how to cook for him. Like, that doesn't make him happy. He's mortified by that. Like, he feels like he's taking advantage of Nagisa's generosity, right? And I think that's really sweet, because, like, Kaz from Rent-A-Girlfriend would have been like, "Oh, that's awesome, she did that for me," whereas now he's like, "That's horrible, you did that for me." Like, it's nice, like, that you did that, but, like, please don't do that again, type of thing. Like, now he is just a good dude. We see him worry so much about Nagisa and Saki throughout the episode. When Nagisa is at school and nobody really recognizes her and he tries to step up to be her friend, he feels her loneliness just by looking at her. And he tries to break the promise they made to not tell everybody, and gets the absolute living hell knocked out of him by Saki. Like, it is vicious. Like, he gets his ass kicked in that classroom, but he does so because he wants to protect Nagisa. And we've seen him several times show how much he cares about Saki. he is like, yes, he's an idiot, but he's a genuine idiot. You know what I mean? Like, he's genuinely sweet and a bit dumb, but he means well. And I think that as a protagonist, I can actually follow him through this, because I do kind of want to see things work out for the guy. And I do want to see things work out for Saki and Nagisa as well. I'm a little curious how the other two characters are going to get introduced. The ED actually shows a lot of the purple, the girl with the purple bow. I kind of know them by color scheme now. But the girl with the white hair and purple bow, like, it shows her sort of like observing the other characters and noticing that something's up. So my guess is that she's probably going to be last to join, whereas the blonde girl might be the third to join, the harem, as it were. But I am very curious to see how that goes and where we're going to go with that. Because again, I want to see good things happen for Saki and Nagisa, but also Naoya as well. And I do wonder if Naoya is going to ultimately pick just one of them, or if they're going to remain in a poly relationship. I'd be curious. I'd be very curious to know what polyamorous people think about this show so far. I'm really enjoying it, but that's because maybe it's because I'm not poly. Maybe if you are poly, you'd find this mean. I don't know. I think it's a really funny show, and I'm very much engaged with it, and I want to see where it goes from here, because it's genuinely making me laugh like 2 weeks in a row. So I assume it's going to continue to make me laugh week in and week out. But with that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and set notifications to all. Let all of AniTube know that you're here. And of course, before we go, as always, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names, and hey, if you'd like to join these beautiful people, there are 2 ways to do so. First is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button. That gets you a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course your name scrolling past the screen here. Or for just a single $1 a month, you can check out our Patreon page linked in the description. It's the first link you see, and that would be sincerely appreciated. So once again, a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. And that is pretty much it for me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very excited to start using the new model and doing my new voice, the butler voice. I'm still working on it. Give me some time with it. But new voice and new character, and the videos are gonna look cleaner and nicer, and I'm all excited. So I hope you guys enjoyed the last few weeks or so with the old style. I'm not gonna lie, I'm so excited that I kind of get bummed out recording these now, because I know that it's gonna look so much better in a few weeks. Anyway, bye!